Let's get this show started. I want to thank everybody for coming out for our D2 grilling event with our master chef and master coach, John Randall. John is going to put on quite a demonstration tonight as it relates to some basics and fundamentals around grilling. As a result of tonight, you're going to get some follow-up. He's got his recipes he's going to go over. We're also going to have a drawing. For those you can't see, we've got some custom grill tools here. Drew, what is this called?
These are called tongs, but in reference to Pat's bathing suit, maybe they're called thongs.
Could be called thongs. We've got they're branded dynamic directions. We also have an apron. So, you know, Pat, maybe you could win this and just show up in the dynamic directions apron on one of your home appointments there in your garage. So, and of course, we got my partner here, Drew Watson, for our commentary. I want you all to know this is an official or an unofficial audition for the Food Network for Johnny Randall as a cook, and Drew and I kind of as the color commentary. So, and then also want to let everybody know that you can't have a cooking show without bourbon. So Drew and I are drinking one of my favorites, which is Eagle Rare 10 years old. We did this on a profile of a tasting, I think, more than once over the last year and a half. I usually have 3 or 4 bottles at home of this. So Johnny, we're ready. Let's kick it off here. Why don't you just let us know, paint the picture of what this experience is going to be like, and let's just dive in.
Yeah, you know, it's fun to do something different than business. We give away a lot of business value on webinars like this through our videos. So to do something that's a little bit more fun, something that most of you are doing, grilling, most of America does this, so it's fun to bring some value. This has been a passion of mine and a hobby of mine for, gosh, probably 11, 12 years. I grill out 3 days a week. We have wonderful weather in North Carolina. I do it all year round. I even do it in the rain. I did it in the snow one time, but it doesn't matter how hot or it is. Grilling is something you can do all the time. So we're going to go through a series of things based on your feedback. A lot of you get some great feedback on what you wanted to learn today. So we're going to talk equipment. We got a lot of requests for sauces, whether they're store-bought or homemade. And then we're going to actually cook some stuff. I've been working on this all afternoon. I've got some stuff that's been slow cooking. I got some other stuff that just went on. And we got a series of whole things based on what a lot of you said that you wanted to hear about. A lot of seafood requests, vegetables, and of course, we're going to finish off with some cool stuff like lamb chops, steaks, some other neat surprises here towards the end. So we'll start with equipment. We'll do sauces. We'll do actual cooking here. So I can't see the chat, but if you guys want to chat, you know, Travis and Drew could keep an eye on that and pass it on. So questions are welcome. Keeping it interactive is certainly welcome here. So let's just cover equipment briefly. A lot of you said that you mostly use a gas grill. So that's most of what we're going to work on. That's most of what we're going to use today and talk about. In the pandemic months, actually ordered stuff before last year's grilling show, which was in May, and in April I ordered new stuff. I didn't get it to about June. Apparently everyone else in the world ordered new grills and stuff from Lowe's, but these Summit Series Weber, this is the best stuff I've ever used. I'm a huge Weber fan, not sponsored, not a real chef, just amateur, but this stuff is awesome. I bought a lot of different brands over the years, had things last varying lengths. This stuff lasts. It's very versatile. And this Summit, it's kind of like, if any of you cooked on the green egg, I know, Drew, you're a fan of those. This is like a super green egg. It's a huge tanker. I think NASA was involved with constructing this thing. It's pretty crazy. But you could do super high heat. You could do smoking, a lot of different things. But the gas grill, you know, since that's what most of you have, this could be very versatile too. You can cut high heat, indirect heat, and almost create a smoker effect. So I think one of the first things to keep in mind is wherever your gas is coming in, usually one of the sides of the grill is where the gas comes in. So for my grill, it's on this side. So this is my high heat part of the grill. This is my lower heat part of the grill. So I usually crank up these burners, and I tend to leave these off. This is where a lot of stuff's dripping, the drip pan's right under there. So that's how I typically use my setup. Probably the biggest question we get in these things is how the heck do you keep your grill grates? How do you keep them clean? How do I get stuff like chicken, especially boneless chicken breast, from sticking? So I've got some ultimate hacks for you here, exclusively for those of you that join live that are watching a replay video. Get ready. So tip number one, whatever stuff is on there from last time, you should actually leave it. So we cooked on here last weekend and I just left all this. So this has been cooking today, so a lot of it's cooked down. But this stuff, that's not good for you or your food. Even if it's like oil or something, the carbon from all this burning is really not good for you. So you definitely want to clear this off before you're grilling. But the reason you want to keep it on there in between is it kind of cooks these things. So what I did for a long time is I would clean them off. And then at this point, I would get like a little bowl of some kind of oil, preferably something that burns at a much higher heat, like a vegetable oil. Olive oil burns at a pretty low rate, so you're going to get real smoky. So something like vegetable oil is pretty good just to rub this down. But that stuff burns up too, and eventually isn't good for your food. So ultimate grill hack number one, this is it right here. A good old potato. Natural starches are released when this baby heats up. It is the ultimate grilling lubricant. So all you got to do is just get this baby hot, rub this thing up and down. It is the best. So what's cool about this, I mean, you could cut off this end and still use it. It's not a complete waste, but one of the best things, I just learned this fairly recently, just been doing it the last couple months. And I noticed the difference. The grill grates are great. There's no, if you ever had like black lines on your food, basically from all the burnt stuff staying on there. So really works great. I got a lot of questions about tongs. Again, I'm a Weber fan. I've had these things for years. They work really great. They clean up great. They almost stay brand new. I got a couple of them. I buy cheap stuff to manage like wood or charcoal. If you're using a charcoal grill, I just buy cheap ones just to turn logs and turn charcoal, things like that. But these bad boys for food work really great. So highly recommend that.
So John, I got a question real quick. Just
go ahead.
Protocol wise. So what I hear you saying is don't clean the grill after you're done. Let it sit. When you fire the grill back up, you clean it. And then is that what you put the lubricant with the potato after it's cleaned, right before you grill? Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right before you're going to grill. That's when
Got it.
Just like I'm doing here. So we're prepping this bad boy for actual real cooking. Great question. So the wood is an interesting one. And so I talked about in the last grilling show that a gas grill by itself, it kind of has a weird smell. I don't like it. It smells like burning natural gas to me. So I've always been a fan of having some kind of wood on the grill. Now you can do this. You can put an actual straight up piece of wood right on your grill grate, just like that. Now, if you notice, I got these in a bowl soaking in water. If the wood's wet, it'll smoke more. So if you ever had a bad campfire with wet wood and it smokes like crazy, it's because the wood's wet. Really dry wood burns really good, really quickly. So we don't want this to burn quickly. We actually want this to smoke. So I like to put one right on there. I would say your grill's got to be big enough and you got to be okay with some, eventual ashes that are going to happen here. But these smoker boxes are great. The Weber Summit has one built in right at the hot spot. It's even got a dedicated burner so you can crank up the wood in that bad boy. That is a dream. It's really easy. I know some of you bought the little smoker box from like Amazon or Lowe's or Home Depot. The tough thing with those is wet wood is good to put it on there, but you've got to get it hot enough that it's going to actually smoke. So you got to put your wood on the hottest part of your grill so that it will heat up enough, basically, enough to start a fire is really what you're trying to do. So you've got to have it on the really hot part to get heated up. And then if you don't have a smoker box, I started just using some aluminum foil, just poke some holes in it. And look, you don't have to soak the wood. You can just put some wood in there. But that just natural smoke with just a little bit of wood is the best. People always ask me what kind of wood. Huge fan of hickory. It's really great. Since our last trip to Austin, Texas, what was that, maybe 3 years ago now, down at Texas Barbecue, which is the best of the best, they use post oak. So I actually get post oak wood just on Amazon. So I get these wood chunks, just like this guy right here. These are all these little wood chips are from Amazon. They're all post oak. And I actually cooked down a real logs earlier this afternoon and basically made my own charcoal out of post oak wood. The flavor is fantastic. It's really quite good. The only thing to look out for is you don't want like burning fire. Like if you've ever put on like a new briquette or a piece of like hard lump charcoal, which I recommend, never the matchlight stuff, but if you put a new piece of charcoal on it, it stinks and your food's going to smell like that. So if you're cooking over like a fresh burning fire, it's a really, really intense flavor, probably too intense for food. So you've kind of got to have, like, if you're doing this, if you're cooking down a fire, the coals that are left over after like you have a campfire, that's what you want to cook on. And you can even put a little bit of wood chips on that if you want to, but just be careful of like burning flames that will really make your food not taste good. I've had that problem on here. Just, one of these guys, we'll probably see it by the end of the night because we're cooking a lot. You get the grill hot and you're cranking a lot, these babies are going to flare up. So it might happen here, which would be cool, but this wet wood just kind of slowly warmed up here. You'll see some of the smoke coming off, just like on this thing behind me. That's what you want to have. That is some good flavor, takes away that gas flavor on your grill. That's what we're looking for here. So,
hey, John, I sense a white paper, maybe like the top 5 ways to lay wood in a grilling situation.
This is deep. I mean, we could have a week-long like discussion on this. So, look, this has been, part of my journey. I've made every mistake. I've cooked some horrible meals. I've done everything wrong. But like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get. And just doing it a bunch of times a week helps. My whole family's involved. Everyone, both my boys, Kathleen, everyone's involved when we cook a few times a week. It's really fun. But just do it a lot if you want to get good at it. There's so many great videos out there. Oh my gosh, there's endless videos to learn from. That's what I do for fun when I'm not working on my doctorate or grinding with D2. It's like cooking shows, whether it's Netflix or Masterclass. I'm a big fan of. I just learn stuff, and there's really good people out there, and there's good amateurs out there too that post out some cool videos. So check it out. So let's talk sauces. So the most basic seasoning you could use is this mix right here. Salt, pepper, paprika. It's almost like Old Bay seasoning, if everyone's ever had that. It's like the 3 main ingredients in it. This works for everything. Almost anything you're gonna cook on the grill, like chicken, pork, seafood. It's just a super easy one that you can do. So I really like kosher salt. I try and do like fresh cracked pepper. In fact, I really like telecherry peppers, are super powerful. And then I'll do a smoked paprika. So I've kind of prepped some little, seasoning things for myself for some of the stuff that we're going to do here. But one of the sauces that I like doing, a couple of the sauces are really seafood related. So I wish you could smell this right now, but this thing right here is one of my favorites. It's a special spicy shrimp sauce that I totally copied from an awesome restaurant. And we're going to email you the recipe, but it's basically some garlic. You can either use butter or olive oil, some lemon, and then a whole bunch of seasonings. You can do, I put in the recipe just a basic sauce that's really good. If you like it spicy, you can throw in some hot sauce, some cayenne pepper powder, some red pepper flakes, was exactly what we got cranking here. It's it's easy to do. You can cook it lots of ways. You saw, I just made a bowl on the grill and it cooked right on there. You could cook it, you know, in the oven. You could really cook it anywhere, but for the grill to get smoke flavor in that liquid, it's pretty awesome. And when that cools down, I'm definitely having some bites of that. But another sauce that's really great, again, learned from a restaurant. It's called Italian salsa, and it works really well with, you know, it was really a seafood kind of recipe. It works well on anything, but I'm going to make it here real quick. So you always want to start with some kind of acid in any meat. So any barbecue sauce is going to have vinegar in it. Lemon is one of the most simple acids. So I like doing fresh squeezed lemon. I squeezed these earlier. We're going to do some of that kosher salt. I pre-did just a couple of pinches into this. And so I didn't write amounts on the recipes because, you know, there's a lot of personal preference when it comes to, you know, amounts. And I'll talk about that a bit. I got a little fresh minced garlic. Add that to the mix. We've got a little olive oil for this one. I'm going to add that right in here. And then we got some seasonings. We got that telecherry black pepper. Woo! Very intense. I like a little bit more pepper than most people. I've grown to like a little bit more acid than most people. Another ingredient on this one, oregano. It's part of the Italian salsa. And then finally, like you might find in a Mexican salsa, some diced tomatoes. So, like I said, awesome thing to add to any seafood. When you're mixing up a sauce, you know, one of these certainly works best, a whisk, and just get in there and mix things up. Of course, you could just use a spoon, but this thing is dense, kind of like salsa. And if you check this out, it's pretty serious, pretty dense in there. This goes great on anything. I'll put it on everything on my plate, vegetables, potatoes. It is just fantastic. So I know seafood isn't your favorite, Travis, but again, super easy sauce to make. Goes great on anything. Nice one to do for anything coming off the grill. Slap it a little of that on there. Really, really great sauce. As far as sauces to buy, before we get to some of this great food, probably the best barbecue sauce I have. That's the top question I get. What do you do barbecue sauce wide? Rodney Scott. Google Rodney Scott barbecue. This guy is amazing. Started in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. Has grown. He's got some spots in Charleston and in Birmingham now. His sauce, a lot of people may not like it at first. It's a little bit more intense with acid, which is vinegar, and it's got a lot of black pepper in it. I love it. Probably the best sauce I've ever had. Now they do whole hog barbecue, so he's got a kind of a hog sauce that, you know, gets the big mop out and uses that there, and then he's got another sauce that's more, you know, red or tomato based, which a lot of people are used to. That is, whoo, just the best. So I think that's the best store bought. He's also got some rubs that are really good, whether you're doing, you know, pork or really anything. They go really great on. So some nice homemade sauces, some great store bought ones. Good stuff. So before we get into the heavy artillery, any questions here, Travis, from the crowd?
I'm not seeing any, John. And I just wanted to let you know, for my personal food development, I have been trying and liking more seafood of lately.
Now, Travis, Wagyu beef from Japan doesn't qualify as seafood.
Oh, I thought it was from Japan, so it was, and it had a fish name like Wagyu.
No, he has been eating some fish. I've witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah, so I am, and John, and really, I like more of the mild fishes that can take on like these salsas or these sauces or these
Yes.
spices. that, has a good blend of a light fish, but you taste more of what you're talking about in it than the actual fish itself. So if
Yeah.
that's my way of coping, that's the way I'm eating more seafood.
John,
I
are those
love it.
gloves?
We as a family, we're doing the same. We're eating a lot more seafood. We're trying to cut back on fatty meats, eat a lot more seafood. I know a lot of you requested a lot there. So I got some Travis for you that are going to be much more mild. Again, if you load something up with sauce, there's not a ton of flavor in a lot of seafoods. So like the shrimp thing, super easy. Starter one. We're going to do some tuna later, which is not too different from steak that I think you might like here. Now this bad boy.
Drew has a question though, John.
Yeah, go for
Are
it.
those the same welding gloves that you repaired your grill with?
Pretty much,
you're now
man. I
using?
mean, listen, this bad boy, I mean, I think this thing could get up close to 1,000 degrees. It's really, really hot in there when the fire was cranking. So you got to be careful. I mean, once your hand gets like here, I mean, it physically hurts. So it's not that hot anymore. But yeah, when I'm messing with fire, I use these things. I use just these little guys for just, pulling stuff off of here. So this is a pork roast that's been going all day long. Now, pork is a very, very fickle meat, very difficult to cook. It's very easy to overcook. We find that doing it like medium rare is maybe a little bit underdone. But when you get into like medium well or well done, pork's just awful. It dries out. It's not very good. So I try and keep it really moist. If you noticed, doing it on the smoker, basically I had it open for a little while. So it got a lot of nice smoke flavor, and then I wrapped it in foil. So at Franklin Barbecue, which is very famous in Austin, they'll wrap stuff in butcher paper. You could do that. It gets pretty nasty. Aluminum foil is pretty easy to find. It's at any grocery store. Non-stick is key, but just wrapping something that you're slow cooking in foil is great. Now, it's a lot of work to do it on wood, but you could easily do it on this. You could easily slow cook some pork, put it on your not hot side of the grill, even if it's a smaller grill, still works. When I had a really small grill starting to do this, I made like a shield with some other aluminum foil that kind of kept it not so hot. But this bad boy right here is going to be phenomenal. It's a perfect medium. In fact, I'm going to check it right here. Tool of a chef. You can always be sure with temperature. So I got this little digital thermometer. I highly recommend this. If you want to know if your food's done or not, that's how to know. It's hard to know if a steak's done. It could look totally like blackened on the outside and it's raw on the inside. So this baby's perfect. Exactly the temperature I wanted to get at. I've done this a bunch of times, but I knew it would be on the money. But this is wow. Now, we'll eat this in a couple meals for our family. So when I say I cook 3 times a week, we cook for the whole week. So chicken, pork, we'll load that up, and that is good to go for multiple meals. So easy one to do. You could just put barbecue sauce on it and cover it up if you wanted to. I pretty much use the dry rub I mentioned, salt, pepper, paprika, pretty much use that. Some barbecue rubs will have some kind of like brown sugar in it. It's pretty great. But if you just do a store-bought rub, totally awesome. Works really great, tastes really great. But this bad boy, 2 meals for our family, gonna be a great one. Here you go, tough guy. Another side I'm gonna pull off early here. Very easy to prepare. These have been cooking for a couple hours. Little potatoes. So these little guys, we just cut in half, and you can add maybe olive oil, little melted butter, little salt. You could do salt, pepper, paprika on them for sure. These things, potatoes, man, they need to cook a long time. So
John,
they were actually on there for a couple of hours, and these are just delicious. I wish you could smell them. They smell so good. They warm up great too. So we make a ton. We'll eat a little bit each meal, but we'll warm them up multiple times during the week. Awesome side to have. Whole family likes it. Almost tastes like French fries when these bad boys get done. So I cook them covered
what kind of potatoes
mostly.
though, John?
So they're little. You could do little like Redskin ones. These are like mini Yukon Gold, which
That's what we call
Yukon Gold's kind of preferred if you're doing mashed potatoes. So we just happen to have them in our store. They're really good. We love them. So I cook them covered because the steam will help them get soft. So I'll show you how soft these guys are. I mean, I could just mush it with my fork right here. If you could see that. Yeah, you want potatoes to be nice and soft. You know, when they're undercooked, they're hard and it's not very good. So it's almost like mashed potatoes on the inside. And I open them towards the end to get it a little bit crispy on the outside. So slow cook them for a while. You can do it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, lasts like even 10 minutes. You know, that's how I got a little bit of the crisping on that. But you can season it with all kinds of stuff. I've done rosemary, all kind of things, but we just kind of did a simple version. I find if you're warming it up, just keep it simple. Just do salt and some kind of oil or butter. Really, really easy one. So next, we got some seafood. So Travis, I think one of the easiest seafoods to eat is cod. Super plain white fish. Very, very easy. Here's my cod seasoning. Always like lemon. So I'm throwing a little lemon in here. So with any seafood, this is pretty much my basic seasoning. I'll give you advanced if you want here. A little fresh squeezed lemon, which I did earlier. Just jam a little lemon on. A little bit of olive oil. Basically, we're just coating the top. Just a light little coating. You need a brush or something like that, you can, or you can just, you know, some chefs will just get in there, rub it down with your hand. And this is that basic spice I talked about, salt, pepper, paprika. Super easy to do. A little extra if you want to throw in there, you know, just like the Italian salsa, oregano goes well. Some recipes I've seen, a parsley you could add in. Probably the neatest thing I ever added, I copied from Nobu. Very, very amazing, you know, Japanese sushi restaurant. They did coriander and cumin on this cod dish that just blew me away. So we'll do that sometimes. We'll actually do mortar and pestle and break down some real cumin and coriander seeds. But this is just basic seasoning. I like to give it a little coat. So Travis, if you're not, you know, sure about it, you could certainly add a little bit more to your seasoning. So
what? Hey, John, what was the name of that sushi bar that's like world famous that we went to in Seattle? And I ate sushi.
Wow.
I
You did?
ate sushi there. You saw it.
Yes, I witnessed it. It was actually documented. I think I have a picture on my phone of it. So gosh, I forget the name of it.
I'll try and find it while we're looking, but
Yeah, that if
I'm
you're ever in
admitting,
Seattle,
I'm admitting my lack of seafood prowess, and I've got some chats going on, but I'm trying to recall what I do like, and I have tried before. I'll find that spot, John, while we're talking.
John,
Cool.
what temperature will you cook your fish to?
Great question, Drew. Exactly where I'm going. So this is what's tough with the gas grill. You go too hot, you're really risking having like a flare up. So those burgers you cooked back on Memorial Day weekend, they might come back to haunt you. So I never go like full blast all the way hot unless I'm like trying to burn everything off. I find a lot of fish will do well at like a medium to a medium high heat. Fish does well if you cook it high really fast, especially this kind of fish. So with the cod, you want it to cook down and get flaky. So there is little bits of fat in these muscles of the fish, and basically you're cooking that down. A lot of pieces of cod, it'll just naturally kind of separate apart. If you're cooking salmon, you can just, you know, see the difference. Those white lines kind of go away. So I've got it on a medium high heat, and I'm going to jam it right on there. And it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all. Probably like 10 minutes, and this thing is good to go. So we're going to start this because this takes a little bit longer. But Travis, I think this is one you would really enjoy. Very simple. Now, probably the easiest seafood to eat. If you enjoy steak, you should really check out tuna. Tuna and a nice, you know, tuna steak like this it's probably the easiest entry level because it really has the same texture as steak. Tunas are big fish and they have huge muscles. So this is like a huge loin, bigger than you would cut off a pig. And this is very much like cooking a steak. Now, when this gets overcooked, just like a steak, it's not very good at all. So this cooks extremely fast. You really got to be, actually kind of careful with this. So this one does not need much at all. This is one where I might do a little bit more of a sauce with it after, more so than seasoning it a lot cooking. If you like sushi or Japanese food, I mean, gosh, just soy sauce and wasabi, delicious. I mean, that is just so great. When I first started eating sushi, I'd have a lot of wasabi to kind of mask the taste of any fish. And then as I kind of progressed, I realized, the fish is pretty darn good. So, hey, we all start somewhere, but this is, these fishes here are just easy to prepare, delicious tasting. So I'm just doing a little bit of oil on the top. My cooking team of sous chefs here did an amazing job. Just did a teeny bit of oil on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to season just a little bit on the top. And then when we flip it, we'll do a little bit more on the other side, just like we might do a steak. So again, salt, pepper, paprika. And with kosher salt, if you do the coarse kind and fresh cracked pepper, I mean, you can see there's like bigger chunks. You don't want to use like the fine salt, never the iodized salt, but big chunks like that when grilling are really key. So I'll even do go ahead and do both sides right here and just show you. So this will sear off really nicely. Paprika burns pretty well. So if you like a blackened seafood that might be a little bit more flavor, more of like a Cajun style, this paprika kind of burns right up. So load yourself up with that if you want to get that, really charred blackened flavor. It's pretty good. So this one you got to be really careful with. So this, Drew, I want to blast this thing at really high heat, but for super, super quick. Kind of like ideally you would cook like you would cook a steak. So we got the wood cranking. I'm going to turn this guy right here. I'm going to add on this tuna right next to it. So normally when you're cooking something to high heat, like burgers is probably the worst. If you're cooking hamburgers, you should leave the top open because if you've ever had that, lift up with massive flames, like a flare up that happens, really fatty foods that you're cooking at very high heat can be dangerous. It can cause quite a fire. Now for this, there's no fat dripping. It's pretty safe. I'm going to go ahead and cover it so that all sides of the fish are cooking and we're getting maximum smoke flavor. So it's going in there cold. It's kind of smoking really nicely. So we're going to get that cranking on here. We're prepping the next rounds as we go. But any more questions, Travis, as we prep to get the seafood off?
No, Chris Salt, who's up in that area, gave me the recommendation of the sushi place, and it's Mashiko. I don't know if it is, Chris. I'm checking. I just text my wife. But I will. My quest is to get that place. It was phenomenal. One of the cool things about going to that place. So my wife's very much a foodie. She and John get together, and I feel like I don't know what's going on when they talk, but that's okay. And what was really cool is to watch them. And then Scott Livefried was with us, fellow D2 client coach. They were like, they told the waiter, which is if you ever want to make a waiter feel good, right, John? You tell them, you know this place, you know what's good. You bring me what you think is best. Mm-hmm. Except for Travis, because Travis was the newbie. They're like, hey, he's brand new. He's not as adventurous. So this waiter was phenomenal. He kept on bringing out sushi after sushi for John, Christy, and Scott. They were just loving it. And he brought me on the starter series, which really there wasn't anything I didn't like. But it was a really cool experience. But I just think, traveling with John and Christy especially, you always want to ask these top restaurants, what are you known for? What's your favorite dish? And you got to be adventurous enough just to really trust them because they're right there. And I can tell you they feel a lot better about serving you when you rely on them for their expertise. Drew, anything to say there?
Yeah, it's hard to let go, right? We all have our habits with eating in general. We all have our little habits, our little comfort zone, and it's hard to escape that. And we go to a place, it's like, well, I want it my way. But look, if you go to a nice place, these people are experts. They're the best at what they do. So we should be having it their way because they spent their life working on this, like a million times more than I've been working on this stuff to be the best of the best. And man, you want to have it the way that they want to cook it. So just to let go and say, you know what? What's good, tell me, or just, bring stuff out. I think for a special sushi place, it's a great place to do that because they all have like little specialty things they'll do, little nigiris they'll put on their special sauces and stuff, and they love to do it. It's one of the favorite things they do. They hate when someone comes in and tells them what to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're the experts. It's like you as a financial advisor, someone coming in and saying, hey, this is how I want my bonds set up. I want these stocks in my mid cap. Like, you don't want people telling you what to do. So they don't either. So, hey, you saw how quick that cooked up. Pretty darn fast.
Hey, John,
Yes.
when you get a second, I got a question.
Yeah, go for it, Sherry.
So we're on a Traeger here. And we're going to be cooking some salmon, which I think takes longer than the tuna. What helpful hints do you have for us?
Yeah, salmon's probably, if you can get, the high heat side of that Traeger. I'm not sure about wood pellets, but if you get it over the heat, it's probably more like 15 minutes, but same stuff. I mean, I do lemon, olive oil, same seasonings, and just rock it. It's really good. I've seen some chefs add in maybe dill or an interesting herb, but yeah, just get a high heat, probably more like 15 minutes, whereas this is, probably more like 10. But you saw that. I mean, that's like a couple minutes, maybe 1 minute on the other side, and this tuna is great. So it'll be, if you have good quality tuna, it's basically seared. So the inside is pretty rare. It's how a nice restaurant would do it. They'll cook it however you want. They'll burn it if you ask them to. But you go to a nice place, say, hey, cook me a great piece of tuna. If you want to cook, this is pretty much what they're going to do. They're going to do a nice little sear, rock and roll it. Now, if you notice, I'm a big fan of these tins, especially when we're cooking a lot of food or for a big group. So I don't have a million things or a huge pile of dishes when we're done. I'm a big fan of using foil for your cooking trays. These cheap, we buy them at the wholesale goods place. We don't have Costco here in our town, but we've got Sam's Club. We buy a ton of them from Sam's Club, and so easy for grilling. Do you notice just taking food out, bringing it in? It's so easy. You just, fold them up and trash them. Sometimes you can clean them or reuse them, but I really, really recommend it. So I can just hear that this thing is getting there. Oil's really cranking. It's really, really close. It's starting to, bubble up. I'm starting to see pieces separate. So with a piece of cod or a lot of whitefish, you'll see the same thing. You'll see kind of separate. So that thing's got maybe another minute. And then we've got some lamb chops and steaks and some vegetables that all of you wanted is coming out next. So I'll take a quick pause here and just check in on the pulse of whether we want to hear anyone's spiciness level or anything we want to get out there in the chat room. So any other questions pop up, Travis?
No, I did find the place, John. I just texted to you. It was Sushi Kashiba with Chef
That was it.
Shiro.
Sounded like Trevor Shakiba.
It did, but it's Kashibi. I don't know. I'm not good with that. I'm from Kentucky. I'm used to last names like Watson,
Smith.
Oak, Smith, Brink.
Oh,
Brink's
wish you
not
could
from
smell
Kentucky.
this. Travis, you would love that. It's not fishy at all.
Good. Pack it up, John.
Wonderful
Pack it up,
flavor.
Send it to me.
Now, to me, this stuff doesn't last so good. I think with seafood, if you're not going to eat it that same day, I mean, you can do leftovers with this. I do more like a fish tacos or put it in something else. But we've done a lot with cod. Is just an easy one. It's easy, you know, kids like it. Super easy one. Very good in fish tacos when you're done here. So thanks, guys. All right, now for the heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Remember, we've been seasoning these grates here with these potatoes so they're not sticky. And we've got a few things that are really cool. A lot of people cook steaks, and I got some questions about that. But one of our favorite things to cook is lamb chops. And lamb chops are tough to cook. Lamb just has a really high fat content. So I've failed many times with lamb where it's like not cooked enough and there's these huge like fat strands. And so you got to find a way to you know, cook down all this fat. So this has become my secret with lambs and steaks. And Drew asked a massive question at the last grilling show about reverse sear. And I am a huge fan of this style. So reverse searing is basically you cook something slowly or to a certain temperature, then you sear it after. So I've really gotten into a sous vide machine, which basically you put food in like a little vacuum cooker and you cook it in water. It's a little device. You set it for exactly the right temp, exactly the right time, and it comes out perfect. So steaks come out perfect medium rare. And all you gotta do is just hit them with a quick sear. So this lamb, you can kind of see, you know, that fat cap that's on these. That's what's super hard to cook down. And you slap that on your grill, man, it's gonna be nasty. So that is what you want to get cooked down in like the oven or a sous vide machine before. But you could easily cook it on the oven like 275. Do it for a while. The sous vide, I know it's going to be perfect temp, so I can kind of set it and forget it and prep everything else. But if you're putting it in the grill, just watch your temp. Another cool tool, I didn't bring it out today, but Weber makes these basically like a wired, you'll put like a little thermometer in here, have a wire, and it'll have a little device here that'll tell you what it is. You can hook that up to your phone. There's even some wireless ones that I've done with like a big roast that might be on for hours. That'll kind of tell you what's the internal temp. But if you're not sure, remember, always check the temp. It's really, really important. So these are warm. I know it's a good medium rare. I'm going to pop them on. Now, grill lid up because these things, there's still some fat on there and they're going to be highly likely to flare up. So I like to give them a quick hit, fat side down. Try and cook that off as quickly as we can. Put that bad boy right here. And then we'll see the other side.
John,
Yeah.
how's Mary doing?
What's that?
How's Mary doing?
Well, her little lamb is getting cooked up pretty nice here. Here's a cool device. I watched Wolfgang Puck's masterclass, and he has this electric, basically pepper grinder. So super easy, fires right on there. See, we got a light that turns on at night. So with any kind of red meat, really just salt, pepper before you put it on. You notice I salted it pretty heavily. That burns off when you're cooking it before. You never, I mean, some places, if it's like a really big steak or roast, I mean, I've been to some restaurants where they will like cut a big steak for you and do like a little bit of salt afterwards. But generally, you want to salt before you're cooking. It'll sort of cook off and you'll just get that flavor, not too much of it there. So if you're noticing these, the bone start burning up here. So I brought some foil out to cover those up. It's a great technique when you're cooking lamb chops. So another thing you could do if you've got an upper deck on your grill is you can stand them up like this because all the meats down in here in this kind of rack of bones is up here. All the meat's on this underside. So if you need to get these things cooked a little bit more, that's an easy way to do it. A little hack just to set them upright and cook. So I'm going to get these things going just off the main heat. So not directly in the main part. I've got this side pretty hot. I've got this about medium and this side's completely off. So what you do with any like bone exposed meat, which might be lamb like this, it might be, you ever done like a long bone ribeye, like a big steak? It's okay to cook a little bit of it to, just cook down if there's a little bit of meat on it or just cook some of the fat that's in there, the bone marrow. But you should cover with foil. So with these guys, you just give it a little cover. I mean, you could go nuts and wrap like each individual bone, which for little lamb chops are a little excessive. So this is all you got to do. Just cover it like that. Bam, it's good to go. Get this side going for this one. And then this guy will pop on under it here. Super, super easy. And then we want to get another coat with our potato here and warm this up for our steaks, which is our next main
John,
event.
we got a couple questions. Drew has one and Pat McAleer. Go ahead, Drew.
Fire
John,
away.
Where do you think the best land is from? Lamb, is it Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand or Australia or Colorado?
New Zealand's the one. Australia's like number 2, and then domestic like Colorado is that's kind of your third best. So depending on your stores where you live, like if you're in a larger city or if you have a Whole Foods, you might have access to some of this stuff regularly. I mean, I live in a smaller town, but we've got some pretty good stuff. We've got a store called Fresh Market that's pretty decent. Yep. We can get like prime beef. We can get Australian lamb, not New Zealand, but it's pretty darn good. So it's all about what you got access to. But if you can find some New Zealand lamb, that is where it's at. Great question. What's the next
Matt McAleer, what's your question, my man?
Yeah, on the sous vide cooker, go into a little more detail on that. I hosted a cooking class about 2 years ago. I bought one immediately afterwards. It has never been out of the box.
Okay, Pat.
So
I did the same thing.
Do you need special bags?
I did the exact same thing, and everyone I know that's got one, the same thing happens. They just kind of sit there. So it's a new thing, right? It's a new device, and we don't really know how to use it. So I tell you the hardest part is just putting in the food in the little. I mean, you could use a Ziploc bag, but the little airtight suction little sous vide bags. That's probably the hardest part. Just getting stuff in there.
Like the
so like with
seal?
these, there's. Go ahead.
Is it like the vacuum seal type of bag or?
Yes, the vacuum seal bags are great. And I would not mess around. I started with some crappy ones that you had like a pump on them that totally sucked. I have a little machine from this company called Anova. It was made like $100 on Amazon, and it comes with some bags. And it
Johnny, you got a fire behind you, bud.
It's good. So I told you that was going to happen there. So we'll get some real heavy, smoke flavor on these steaks when they pop. So.
Well, Drew was like, he's got a fire. He's got a fire. He's got a fire.
So now for my grill, it can handle it. This thing's pretty hot. It can handle it, but a lot of smaller grills, you're not going to be able to. You're going to blow it out.
Make sure they know it's the wood burning.
Oh yeah, it's just the wood burning. There was that piece of wood I put on that was going to burn. It's not like a piece of.
Who's your producer?
Who's behind
The
you?
producer.
Yelling instructions.
Is that Jay? So then Pat, I've got an Anova cooker, Not endorsing this brand. It's just what I happened to buy on Amazon. It had good ratings, and it comes with a bucket, and it's got the device, and you just put it in there. It's so easy. So these steaks actually cooked in there for an hour and a half, and you can do them straight up like this. There's some recipes you can put in like butter and really load them up if you want to, but it's the easiest cooking I've ever done. And I tell you, the tipping point for me was I was watching these master classes and watched Thomas Keller, which Drew Travis and I got to eat at his best restaurant, French Laundry. Man, they sous vide a lot of their food. A lot of restaurants do it because it's perfect. It's perfect temperature. These steaks are perfect medium rare. Right off the bat, I just got to give them a little sear, and there's no wondering, are they done or not? They're 100%. I highly recommend it, but I think the toughest thing is that first step. It's just, deciding to do it, getting into it. Steaks might be an easy first one to try. Probably the best thing I've done in the sous vide was baby back ribs. Now they go like overnight, but oh my gosh, so much less work than like this thing of really managing wood. So with anything you do on sous vide, it's going to be like some slow cooking just like this, and then like a light sear. And I'll close this so we get some wood burn and flavor in there, but it needs like a minute on each side. It's great. So I cook all weekend, but I do my doctoral work all weekend. So I can, we'll get fruit maybe on Friday after we're done working. We'll sous vide it up for like the whole weekend. And man, I can just pop it in, set it for grit, and the machine just, automatically times it. It is so easy. So
Thanks.
highly recommend it. But you just got to take that first step and just try something that you're comfortable with. Just try like maybe one steak or one piece of pork. And I still, every time I cook something, I just Google, sous vide pork roast or whatever, and it'll give you instructions on what temperature to set it at, what time. But the little devices make it easy.
Sounds like, Pat, your first step is to pull it out of the box, bud.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
So these things are cooking up very, very nice. You can see.
So, John, we got about 5 more minutes left. Do you want me to go ahead and do the drawing?
Let's do some drawing. I'm going to pop on, as you saw, some Brussels sprouts with a little prosciutto and seasoning. I've also got some tomatoes that we'll see kind of come off. But yeah, let's do this drawing. Let's see who's our winner chicken dinner.
What do you on the Brussels sprouts? What are you adding to that? I love Brussels sprouts.
Awesome.
I love them. Probably prepared with some kind of what are they called? Not a vinaigrette, but a
something like that. Yeah, we just do a little olive oil,
Balsamic,
salt, pepper,
balsamic.
Yeah,
they'll do like bacon or something. We just take little pieces of prosciutto and pop it in, so the fat cooks down a little bit, and then you get this little crispy piece of prosciutto. The biggest mistake people make with Brussels sprouts, not cooked enough. You got to sear these things. If you ever had them at a nice steakhouse, they cook the crap out of them, and they're like really, really charred and burnt. So I'll put these things over direct heat and really, really sear them. The steaks can be cooked like this and then kind of move to indirect heat and rest. And you'll see these things will probably take another 15 minutes. So let's do some raffling.
All right. So the winner of the D2 thong. I'm sorry. Are we doing all? Is this all?
it's all one.
Okay, I'm asking Ben. He's over here. Y'all can't see him. So it's one winner for all of them. So, and if you win, what this means is you get these, and then you have our dynamic directions apron. You'll never see me in this. Never.
Well, it looks like it's about a 14 neck.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll fit around my head. But when you win this, you have to send us a picture of you cooking in the apron with the tools. And our winner is from Knoxville, Tennessee, Randy White.
Awesome. All right, Randy.
You know, I think a long time. I think.
Hey,
a lot
that'll go great. I'm
says-
actually,
What's that, Randy?
I said, hey, thank you. That'll go great. I'm working on my outdoor kitchen and was hoping to have it done by the 4th, but it looks like we're not going to meet that deadline. But regardless, we'll do it.
Hey, Randy, if the apron fits, you must go to the pit. Remember the old, if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
I was wondering how you gonna find the right metaphor there, Drew. That was that you've had better metaphors.
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, Randy. Congrats. I'll pull one of these off while we wrap up here, just so you can see. So, like I said, 15 minutes at least, direct, high heat, blasted. Tomatoes don't take as long, so you can put them over medium heat. These things, after they're seared, I mean, they can sit in indirect heat. A lot of restaurants will do that. Just have it sit on the cool side of the grill for as long as you need to. But yeah, this stuff, phenomenal. You can do it on any gas grill and get that great smoke flavor. And this right here, I'll give you one last sauce tip. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
One of the sauces, let me grab that plate that I laid out there. This is a Kathleen invention. So it's highly secretive, proprietary. It's not on the recipe list, but I'll give you what might be in there. There's a little olive oil, real honey, salt, pepper, and fancy pants mustard. I'm not talking about French's. I'm not talking about even the Grey Poupon that like they used to pass through the Rolls Royces and the old commercials. You can see this thing's got big pepper seeds. Those things are very spicy and are awesome. So look for some heavy spiced pepper, mustard seed. Sorry, mustard seed. What's the brand on it?
Malay,
Malay.
Maile. I think.
There you go. They probably heard you.
Kathleen!
Awesome. Great one.
Kathleen!
See how my crew got the boys here, my help. But this on lamb is excellent. Totally copied it from a restaurant that we really love. We see that plate here. So yeah, you could chop these up in individual chops. You could leave them in nice hunks like this. You drizzle a little of this sauce on. And I tell you what, this is a good dinner right here. Look at that. We're eating good here tonight, folks.
Oh my
But,
gosh, you are.
Hey, lots of tips. We're just scratching the surface here. We're going to email, send out everyone the recipes. Message me, text me, email me if you got more questions. I'm super passionate about this. Love it. Would love to help anyone. And Pat Macko, text me, email me if you want some more sous vide tips, man. It's been a, probably the past year I've been really into it.
Will do.
Hey,
Thanks,
John.
John.
What's that, Pat?
I just said will do. Thanks, John.
Okay. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. More importantly, I want to thank you, John, and the Randall family. I heard Kathleen back there. I saw hands of at least one son. I don't know if that was
both boys are here.
James or
They're
William
fine.
there, but thank you all for helping and assisting Mr. Johnny here. You guys can tell one of the things I admire about John, look, when he does something, he is all in, right? Y'all sense that? He's got passion about it. We could be talking about wine. We could talk about bourbon. We could talk about coaching. We're talking about food tonight. But John, I just admire the way you dive into things. Drew, any closing comments here? Did you learn anything tonight?
Yeah, I learned a few things. Definitely the sous vide, and John, the lamb chops look fantastic, as did everything else. Great job.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I think lamb should be maybe more medium than medium rare, but hey, it's great stuff. So we're eating good here. Thanks, everyone, D2. Thanks for everyone, all the guests we had on here. Great time, and enjoy the replay video.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you, John.
Take
Great
care.
being with you all tonight. Congratulations, Randy White. We'll send that out to you. Y'all be safe.